All right, I'm Reggie with Big Blast Marketing. Let's take a look at the charts and see what our weekend roundup looks like heading into the September 2nd, 2025. All right, so first up in the charts is going to be our S&P 500. As you can see, S&P 500 has been pushing up into the 6,485 dollar area, ran into some resistance at 6,500, and started to pull back a little bit on that Friday at market close. Pre-market, if we look at the 2-minute chart, all right, look like we're kind of sitting in this little bit of a range here between, all right, between 6,465 and 6,450. All right, let's go back out to our 3-minute chart, and you can see that we're at the lower portion of this particular bar here. Okay, so we open up lower come Monday morning, we may continue to push down and retest this support area here. If this support area fails at here, then most likely going to try to take this bar out. If we take this bar out, we're going to most likely retest this area where we found some support here. If that doesn't hold, then we're going to look out below. Probably come back down to this 61,000 area, or 6,100 area. Now, we did have a window open down here at around 6,054. Okay. There's the low here, and the high here is right about 6,029. Okay, if we do come back down in here to shut this window, then you know we're gonna continue lower. All right, so we have to see what happens with that as the market continues to move into the coming weeks. All right. Next up is going to be the Bitcoin. Let me get rid of this here. That's irrelevant. That as well. Alright, we got this liquidity area down in here. We may want to come back and pick up some more shares before heading higher. Let's see what's going to happen with that here. Alright, so we got... Okay. But we do have support from the 20-day moving average coming up underneath. And we do have the 200 and the 150 SMA coming up also having this support. We're currently in an uptrending market on the S&P 500. But we'll have to see how that continues to play out as we move on into the coming weeks. Alright, next up is going to be Bitcoin. And Bitcoin hit 109 this morning, or 107 today, 107,790. So we're almost back down to here to retest this 107 area, which was support at one point. But we know Bitcoin continues to sell off, so we have to be careful with that one and keep an eye on it and see what it wants to do. And as we go on, if we look at a lower time frame, 2-minute. It wants to push up, hit about 111 right now in the pre-market, and so we're gonna have to see what happens with that one as we head into the trading day on September 2nd. Okay, but currently it is definitely looking like it wants to continue to sell off. We ran into a little bit of resistance here at 111. So we'll see what happens when we get into the market open on Tuesday. Alright, but currently we got this push down, just tried to push up, and it just gapped down basically within this bar. So it doesn't really show as a gap, but it's basically a gap down because it closed up here and then opened up way down here, and then it pushed down even lower. And we had a little bounce up, and then a big sell off, and now we got this bar coming in. Now this bar here is taking on the resemblance of a bullish harami, but we'll have to see how that works out. If it looks the same come morning on September 2nd, if it still looks like a bullish harami, or if it just turns into another red bar and pushes lower. All right, but right now Bitcoin definitely showing some weakness, like it wants to continue going lower. Next up is oil. Oil has a little bit of a bar coming in. Took out this red bar here, nice green bar coming in. Pre-market, it wants to push higher, so keep an eye on oil. If you want to try to play oil to the upside, there's always Gush that you can play, and then or you can if you want to try to short the SCO, which is the inverse of that one, so you can since it's going up, you can short the SCO and run an inverse short, because this is the inverse of oil, which means when oil is going down, this should be going up, and vice versa. So if you're shorting it, it should sell off as oil wants to push higher right now. And currently oil looks like it wants to go higher. If we take a look at Gush was this is Gush here, and as you can see, Gush is pushing higher right now. So if oil continues to go higher, we can kind of expect this bull ETF to go higher as well. All right, back to oil. Okay, and it definitely is looks like it wants to go higher, or at least retest this maybe $67 area on oil, or maybe it wants to continue to go higher. We'll see what happens, but definitely is on trying to push higher into these trade winds. But it does have this overhead resistance from the 200 simple day moving average. All right, next up is going to be Ethereum, and Ethereum, it's put in this nice big bar here, and it starts to sell off, but it hasn't closed below it yet. So keep an eye on that one. If we take this bar out and get below this bar support area, we may continue to sell off in Ethereum. But Ethereum in the pre-market is looking kind of strong, like it wants to hang on in this area. So we have to see how it works out heading into the 2nd of September when the markets open up. But definitely has support from the 20-day simple moving average, but it's got this overhead resistance from the 8 and 9 simple moving averages. So we may be heading back down into here on Ethereum, but we have to see how it plays out. All right, next up is going to be gold, and gold continues to push higher. All right, made a new high here, and all we got to do is watch out for the push up and then come back and retest in this area and then take off again. So we'll see what happens with gold, but currently it's wanting to continue higher. Natural gas, trying to push higher, and a little bit of a pullback here. But if oil continues to push higher, natural gas most likely will continue to push higher as well. So keep an eye on natural gas and on oil. Next up is the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ continues to look weak. It's got some overhead resistance from the 20 and the 8 and 9 SMA. And if we open up below this doji here, most likely we're going to continue to go lower. So at least retest this area here where it found support, and if that doesn't hold, we got area support down in here, and if that doesn't hold, then we're coming back down to this big white line right here at 22,000. All right, next up is silver, and silver continues to push higher. Look at that push on silver. Nice three. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 5 bar push up. So look for it to find some resistance up as it goes higher, and maybe come back and retest for some support of this previous high, and then confirm that it's a good support area before heading higher. So we'll see how silver continues to play out, but right now it's looking very bullish. Next up is the Dow. The Dow too is looking bullish, running to some resistance here at this area here, but that's okay. We know we have some support here that at 45,000 that actually has been holding pretty well. And it also has got a little bit of a consolidation going on in here at the top of that, right at the top, or the top half of this bar. Okay, this bar here is a nice big bar. We didn't lose, um, you know, it hasn't taken it out yet, and everything's pretty much staying up in the top half of it. So we're looking pretty good as far as the Dow wanting to continue going higher. We'll see how it plays out coming into the second. Of course, I keep saying that because we have to see how the trading begins, because we got a 4-day weekend or a 4-day week of trading coming up, like I said before. So we have to contend with that as well. We don't have 5 days to trade in, so we only have 4. So we're gonna have to pick a down day or all 4 days to be up. But then most likely next week we'll start off with a down day. So we'll see how it plays out. Next up is the corn futures, and corn is looking like it wants to get bullish, but it's still got to get up through these trade winds coming down to act as resistance. So let's see what happens with that. We got 2 nice green bars coming in so far off 20. Got a little bit of a doji here, so we may open up and continue higher and then get a pullback at some point, or we may just kind of try to run into this area up here that was support, turn resistance, and then we'll see what happens with that. But that's corn. Corn looks like it wants to head back bullish, or at least retest these areas up in here. So we'll have to play it by ear and see what it does. And that's all I got for you tonight on the weekend rundown. I know heading into heading into Tuesday, it should be an exciting week of trading. These 4 days coming up, some of our stocks kind of sold off on Friday, and so we have to see what happens with them when it comes to Tuesday morning when we get back into it. Because the ones that sold off most likely are going to continue do a little bit of continuation, and then find the bottom, and then maybe try to poke their head back up. So we'll see how that works out. As you can see, Wingstop is had a nice big gap coming up in here, and so now it's coming back to close that window that it put in there where all this liquidity was in there. So it's probably coming back to shut that window before going back higher on Wingstop. Then we had another one. We had our Tesla took a nice little dive on us. Which had a little bit of a pullback back to the 20-day SMA. All right, we still got the 200, so it's still in a bullish state on Tesla. But we did, give back quite a bit here on Friday, and we may get a little bit of continuance into Tuesday. But so far, it's not in a terrible place. But if it takes out this area down here, this bar here, then kind of have to look out and hope that the 200-day acts as support. If it doesn't work, then look out below on Tesla. All right. All right. So that's all I got for you tonight on the weekend roundup. Just be careful when you get out there into your trade on Monday. Keep in mind that Friday, I know it's been a few days since Friday, and so it's easy to forget what had happened, but Friday, as far as I remember, there was a lot of selling going on Friday, and so most likely we're going to have some continuation into Tuesday. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.